Did you know that men have two fantasies? And by men, I mean the kind of dudes that can bench their own body weight and know how to use a jigsaw as opposed to a rotary saw when building a table. Not the guys who wear Affliction t-shirts while shopping for Spike-Tactical AR-15s or listen to the Andrew Tate podcast.
Give me a big fat cigar.
Like men. We want to die violently and in the most heroic way possible. Then, failing that, our second fantasy is to come home to a controlling and dominating wife that always tells us exactly what we need to do. Actually, in retrospect, that second part may be my severely undiagnosed autism acting up. But hey, my desire to have my every action monitored by commanding women and to die violently is what led me to Freedom Wars when it first came out. And now if you're sitting here going, Grimbles, I have no idea what any of that means, and I think God should kill you for all those words you just said, then you're not alone. The game only sold like 150,000 units when it came out in North America, and even that number feels like staggeringly high as it was only released on the PS Vita. You know that dead on arrival console Sony fumbled during one of the rare times Nintendo wasn't reinventing the handheld market? Luckily though, it has found a second life on Steam, and I'm gonna tell you, it's just as beautiful as the day I lost it. Welcome to the future. It's the year 100,000 AD, and to put that timeline into context, sometime around the beginning of the 21st century, Joe Bishop and Skippy the Magnificent defeated the Max Hulk's coalition. Then, 1,000 years later, Colonel Kassad killed the Shrike on Hyperion. Yeah, probably.
Surprise, mother.
Then, we lost track of time for a bit, had a guy turn himself into a worm to stop ChatGPT, and Horus kills the God Emperor twice. Yet, despite all these achievements, we're back on Earth fighting over oil. And let me tell you, as an Iraq war veteran, this is my Groundhog's Day. Now, Grimbles, you might ask as you slowly put those torches down, future history is great and all, but who is that lady you showed us a minute ago? And it's funny you should ask, because she's your warden, and you're in prison serving a 1,000,000-year sentence for the crime of being born. Actually, not you specifically. You got amnesia, which also carries a 1,000,000-year life sentence. Everyone else was here because they were born without a STEM degree. And did I say you? I meant that literally, as you're going to create your own sinner. Though, as this is a PS Vita game, the character customization is pretty much what you'd expect, with the standout detail being that the game reads your character's name to you with a text-to-speech device. Me, being a responsible adult who pays taxes, obviously did the most mature thing possible.
Are you happy with this name? Mike Raj.
So, you finished that character yet? Good! Welcome to Prison, Sinner, where you get 3 square meals a day, a full 200-inch TV that plays Panopticon-approved propaganda, and extensions on your 1,000,000-year sentence if you so much as take more than 5 steps inside your cell without prior authorization. This may seem crazy and hard to enforce, but that's why every sinner gets assigned their own personal supervisor Tamagotchi robot that follows them everywhere and reports everything they do to the Office of Peace and Stability. Think Wilson from Castaway, except this Wilson is a snitch that extends your prison sentence for asking philosophical questions. Also, unlike Wilson, you can customize your accessory, allowing the Fujos in my audience to live out their uke-semi-toxic yaoi relationship if they choose, or be one of those weirdos I see too often online that's definitely a dude who dressed both his OC and his accessory in the sluttiest clothes possible because his fragile masculinity can't handle seeing his waifu with another man, even if it's a digital representation of him. Hey, you can even customize your sinner and your accessory to be your favorite OTP, like Anya mouthwashing and Griffith if you wanted. But me, I already found my soulmate like 14 years ago, so I customized my accessory to look just like my wife. And the best part is, our relationship in the video game is pretty accurate to real life, complete with her constantly looking at me in disgust whenever we're out in public. You finished bedazzling your at-home breathalyzer test yet? Because it's time to get to work. Earth is a wasteland, resources are scarce, and the best way to conserve them is to create fake crimes, run up jail sentences, and force the people to do hazardous work practically for free. You know, like what California does with its prisoners whenever the state catches fire. And you want to know something? I love it. Do you remember how The Outer Wilds had that tongue-in-cheek approach of like, oh man, unmitigated capitalism is so bad, but then it just became a lot of tell don't show? Well, in Freedom Wars, they managed to nail the vibe of living in a dystopic hell. As a sinner, I have to go on suicide missions to earn the right to sleep without standing, and after a while, that prisoner mindset starts to creep in. No joke, I was once fined 30 years because I ran for longer than 5 seconds without stopping, and now every single time I've run in the game after that, I started to count my steps to the point where you can actually see me stuttering to avoid penalties. I have never actually played a game where I went out of my way not to break the rules because I was being punished in a real way for my actions. And while I realize most people would dread this cruel fantasy, I'm thriving. I have an emotional support house arrest bracelet that constantly tells me what to do, and my life has clear directives and purpose. A life of suffering and hardship, where your only reward is someone installing pads in your cell walls. You may call this a Plato's cave, but I consider this the true calling of any self-respecting man. Plus, thanks to all the god machines running around, I actually get plenty of exercise. You know what? Now would actually probably be a good time to talk about gameplay. Fair warning though, you're gonna need a controller here. What was I talking about again? Oh, right. The gameplay. Just to give you a quick history lesson, the original Freedom Wars released at the height of the Monster Hunter clone era in the mid-2010s, and the gameplay really reflects that. Jump on giant monster, beat it with a weapon until a part falls off, rinse and repeat. But whereas Monster Hunter can be described as an honorable samurai duel where man stands tall and proud against a living force in nature, Freedom Wars is 4 meth heads in a junkyard beating on robot child abductors with a Furby they taped a Glock to. I'm actually like 90% certain that if I put a Blizzard filter over this gameplay footage, I'd have an accurate depiction of a Russian custody battle. As I said, resources are scarce, and finding good engineers is like trying to get code from ChatGPT that doesn't brick your computer. And as such, everyone is trying to steal them from one another. Your job, when you're not fighting for your life after the devs decide to put 2 high mobility abductors inside a closed tunnel, is to either kidnap them from other panopticons, or to get yours back. And then there's also some AI sinners that occasionally show up, but by the late game, you're pumping out so much DPS that they're more a distraction than anything else. I think injecting human enemies into random missions was the devs trying to introduce the concept of PvP to players, but that game mode is deader than Tobuscus' career. And in case you're wondering what kind of weapons you have for killing these monolithic kidnap machines, you'll be pretty happy to know that some of the tech from the 40th millennia is still around, like the chainsword. And the spear that may be possessed by the souls of the damned. However, absolutely no weapon is as elegant, as powerful, or as perfect for any situation as the literal cinder block attached to a rebar rod. That's right, uncounted eons of human evolution, and the most effective weapon at our disposal is still blunt force trauma. And honestly, that's fine. If a humble rock was enough for the Homo erectus to conquer the entire animal kingdom, then I'm going to use it to kill a god. And if my brick on a stick isn't enough, that's what I got the P90 for. Taking a page straight out of Stargate's playbook, Freedom Wars has seen fit to allow us to take the P90 to kill gods. And before you ask, yes, there are other weapons, but you don't want them. Most of the heavier weapons take too long to fire for their damage output, and it just doesn't feel good to use. Plus, the more precision-based weapons feel like they were geared to PvP, and we've already discussed how that's never going to happen. Stick with the P90. If it was good enough for Colonel Jack O'Neill, it's good enough for you. Oh, what's that you say? The pulsar rifle fills the same role as the stock submachine gun, but has better range? Well, and I'm saying this as your friend, and not that gaslighter you keep making me out to be. That's because you've convinced yourself it's a better gun. The pulsar is a weapon of terror. It's made to intimidate the enemy. The P90 is a weapon of war. It's made to kill your enemy. I've used it to win every skirmish with the other panopticons and the abductors who serve them. Actually, I'm just kidding. Use whatever you want. I'll revive you anyway. Which I'm actually going to be doing a lot, because Freedom Wars is basically an Eastern Front simulator with how often you die. Not to worry though, you can be stomped on, smashed into a wall, filled with lead, or obliterated at the particle level, and as long as your accessory or teammate is around, they'll pick you back up again. And you're going to need those infinite revives, because this game is less balanced than Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Freedom War's idea of higher difficulties is just sending bigger bullet sponges at you that ignore your AI teammates and focus on you with everything they have. Then, when you're dead, they continue to bombard your corpse so your allies can't revive you. They can't help you. Even your faithful accessory can't help you now, Sinner. So how are you going to overcome this challenge? Are you going to try to get good like all those From Software fans say? No, you're not. This isn't some polished, fine-tuned action RPG. This is slop. You don't get better. You inject banned substances into your spine instead. Let me ask you, you getting one-tapped? Get defense augments. Bricks on a stick not doing enough damage? Stack a ton of adrenaline and buy attack augments. Are you dying too often and feel like your grace period before respawn isn't long enough? Just get last legs. You're risking your life saving these heliophobic engineers from forced H-1B statuses and other panopticons. The least they can do is make augments that turn you into a one-man army. And don't worry, the cyberpsychosis isn't real and it can't hurt you. So just keep stimming until you're on more juice than an Orange Julius and go out and zap to the extreme. Okay, I'm actually going to wrap up this video, but before I do, I want to extend an offer to you, my viewers. The last time I played Freedom Wars back in 2014, I had about 400,000 years left on my sentence when I went into an MRI to stop a helium rupture from turning the radiology department into a gas chamber, and the fringe field nuked my VITA. I'm dedicated to beating it, and I'm going to invite y'all to join me. And here's the thing, you don't have to be a high Sinner level. I love this game so much, I'll play it with anyone until I beat it. Plus, as an added bonus, if I hit 1,500 subscribers, I'll open a Discord and try to be active to play games with my community. So come on and join me. I'll see you in prison, sinners. Alright, outro rant time. Those of you who think that I'm like just doing visual gags with my love for Hello Kitty, I've actually loved Sanrio Enterprise since I was like 9 years old or so, give or take. And Hello Kitty, specifically My Melody and Marin Cream, have been my favorite for years. The problem is, you can't get Marin Cream merch, and My Melody is generally paired with Kuromi. I genuinely love the Sanrio product line, to the point where I've spent $350 getting a custom deadlifting belt that I wear to the gym to pull 400. So it's not a joke. I love Hello Kitty. If you guys love Hello Kitty too, great. If not, I run faster and lift more than you, so deal with it.